How's it going, everybody? I'm the best is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. There have been none before me, there'll be none after me. Therefore, I am the one and only Jake Colby, and welcome to Wrestling Made Simple. I got a very special episode this week. I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend from Bar Rescue himself, Stu Manchu. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. I can't hear you, though.
Yeah, you won't be able to hear me. We'll just talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. So we're going to be talking about WrestleMania 2 this week. We met in the cigar industry. We're actually here at Jersey Smokes right now in Jackson, New Jersey.
Greatest place around, baby. Check it out.
So we met through cigars. We're big cigar bros, and we also got a little drink here. So salute to you, my brother. Thanks.
So let me just tell you, everybody, I haven't watched WrestleMania 2 in like 20 years. So I don't remember, but I'm going to talk as a 15-year-old kid again. You know, that's what I'm telling you about. Because, like, for instance, the three main events, it was three different places, didn't really work for me. But we're going to go from there. We're going to talk about each one. So I hope you guys enjoy, because I'm enjoying just talking to you all.
It's awesome to have you on, brother. I've been wanting to have you on for so long, and I'm finally happy we could finally really do this. And again, we're coming from Jersey Smokes, so you might hear a couple puffs of a cigar, maybe a drink or two. But let's talk some wrestling here as we get into WrestleMania 2.
Before we start talking about wrestling, one of my favorite cigars, I'm a big Romacraft fanatic. Mike Gonzalez, the owner, he knows what he's doing. He only makes a certain amount and stuff like that. So right now I'm smoking a medium, the Volstead. It's delish. And guys, it looks like a 40-minute cigar. It goes about an hour and a half. It looks like Type O, looks like Dream. If you want to try a cigar that's anywhere from $11 to $15, try Romacrafts, Cro-Magnums, Volstead, everything. And then I'll let you go back to wrestling.
Oh, I'm glad you... Yeah, you recommend me a great one here. What's this one?
You're smoking another Romacraft. You're smoking a lighter one. Yeah. Everything they make, Romacraft, to me, is the best boutique cigar company, for me anyway, what I like. Everything they do is great.
But, yeah, I really enjoy it because I'm a Larry cigar smoker, so I really enjoy the nice, easy creaminess of the cigar. But, so anyway, let's get into WrestleMania 2. It came from the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, which actually just went away. They recently replaced it with I think it's the UBS Center in Long Island. You have the Rosemont, which actually Mick Foley always said that was his favorite place to perform. And it would host WrestleMania 22. And then you have the Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena, which hosted its own WrestleMania and WrestleMania 7. So I'm trying to think if any other ones came from Nassau, if any other WrestleManias came from Nassau.
We used to go, not WrestleManias, but it was great house shows. I used to go with my father to see matches you couldn't see anywhere else. And the problem was the house shows is that no titles changed, you know, besides the big time Bret Hart thing that happened against Ric Flair. But you knew when you went to a house show, nothing special was going to happen. A lot of countouts and all that stuff.
But no, house shows, you had those moments. It's funny in the Nassau Coliseum because it was also it held the first ever all-women's WWE pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. So it's funny to look back at it. And just reading up while we were in a quick break, this was the first WrestleMania to not be held on a Sunday until WrestleMania 36, where they split into 2 nights.
So what day was it on then?
It was on a Monday.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it was April 7th. I always loved the tagline for WrestleMania 2.
Do you remember where we were at?
Yep. We were talking about the tagline for WrestleMania 2. I always laughed at this because I don't know if you remember the opening for WrestleMania 2. It was WrestleMania 2, what the world has come to. And then it goes into the great lighthearted music and everything. I thought it was like when I first saw this, because again, I wasn't really a wrestling fan that much starting.
I was a wrestling fan from 1975 on. I lost a little bit because I never liked Hulk Hogan. I have a big problem with Hulk Hogan because to me he was the bad guy, and he came back. He stole Bob Backlund's spot. I'm a big Bob Backlund fanatic. To me, Bob Backlund's the greatest wrestler in the world. It's amazing to me that he was in WrestleMania until like 15 years later. He should have been the superstar, in my opinion. I don't care what anybody else says. You know, that's my thing.
but I always loved the. So watching it for the first time when I first watched WrestleMania 2, of hearing it took place from 3 places, I was like, oh, that's got to be cool. And then seeing that opening, I'm like, oh no. It's like watching the movie of, like, from the opening credits, you're like, it's like Phantom Menace for Star Wars. You're watching it just going, well, if it sucks.
And then that, can you name the 3 main events? They all stunk. There was nothing exciting. You knew that Bundy was going to lose to Hogan. It wasn't even a question. I was a kid. I loved wrestling from, like I said, 75 on, but at the same time, I always knew wrestling was, fixed, not fake, but fixed. And I knew, how they did it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel Bundy had a chance.
Yeah.
And Piper versus T, that wasn't a great match main event either. We all knew that T would get eaten up by Piper in real life. It just, And then the other one was that silly
it was
Royal.
No, it was the British Bulldogs versus the Dream Team.
That wasn't the main event. Look it up.
I'm looking at it right now.
I'm pretty damn sure. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm right, but I'm pretty damn sure it was the Battle Royal was the main event.
No, it was the Tag Team Championship match.
Well, that match all right because the Bulldogs. By the way, Dynamite Kid, just so everybody knows, was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I'm not a nice guy, and weirdly enough, I want to bring up something people never bring up. So Dynamite Kid was known as a mean guy. People used to say Chris Benoit was just like Dynamite Kid without the craziness. How funny is that? Who's crazier now?
Yeah, there's. Yeah, it's funny. I don't mention Chris Benoit a lot on this show just because I ain't gonna glorify him. But I always agreed with you on that comparison. But let's get to WrestleMania 2.
Okay.
Let's get to the first match, which we actually started talking about before the podcast. Paul Orndorff versus the Magnificent Morocco.
Okay, so Paul Orndorff became a good guy at that point. My feeling is that he was something great. I loved him the way he wrestled and everything like that. I feel like they should have saved it. The whole WrestleMania 3 thing, it wasn't Andre. It should have been him. They ruined it. They made him wrestle him on Hogan on matches. Paul Orndorff would have been a champion today. Paul Orndorff was amazing. And Don Morocco is a very interesting character. There's a lot of foes of Don Morocco nobody brings up. Don Morocco's a little kid. He's a nice, happy, fun face. Okay, then he comes to wrestling and he becomes a bad guy, and he does like crazy things. He eats food and matches. You saw that some funny stuff. And whatever it is. And then he gets chubby. He's not that strong anymore. Looking that way. Then all of a sudden, he becomes a good guy. Also, he's muscular again because they call him Don the Rock Morocco. He's magnificent Morocco. But those are 2 guys that could have been champions in any era, in my opinion.
They really could have been. The match itself ended in a double count.
And I hate that. The problem with wrestling then, it was count out. It was, it was no finishes. The double count, they should have, honestly, what they should have done, made Paul Orndorff win the match, and then set up Paul Orndorff to be the real big heel versus Hogan. That's what they should have done. But either way.
If you had to rate the match 1 to 5, how would you rate it?
1.5. And I like those 2 guys. It was terrible.
All right.
Would you rate it?
I would probably go 2, maybe 1 and 3/4.
Well, you agree?
I agree with you. Yeah, I think a double count out is also a terrible way to end a match.
But I also want to tell the chicken maniacs over here is that at that time it wasn't about doing like nowadays. Everybody does every move. People come out of it. It was different then. So you weren't expecting this crazy matches they do today. But the psychology would make it great. But that match missed psychology 1.5. That's why I know we're not bringing this up, but I want to talk about it one day on your thing. The best feud ever, the best betrayal ever. I want to talk about Larry Zbyszko versus Bruno Sammartino because, guys, that is psychology 101.
I was going to mention that a little later of that we need to talk about that one time. Next match to me is all psychology because it's the man who basically made psychology in wrestling something of Randy Macho Man Savage versus George Animal Steel. It was basically the title of Miss Elizabeth in this one, which is what I loved. I loved George Animal Steel with Randy Macho Man Savage, even when he was in the corner for WrestleMania 3.
So my funny thing about George Animal Steel is that as you guys may or may not know, Giordano Steele was a teacher. So he actually, so totally different character. When he first came out as a wrestler, he talked a little bit. And then all of a sudden they made him, he couldn't talk. And if you remember, he ate the buckles. He was crazy, so that. And then they made him this lovely guy, that, love monster guy. But the truth is, he's a very interesting character. Couldn't do a move. He wouldn't know, even though his finished move was a hammerlock, he wouldn't know a hammerlock from a headlock. But he was fun.
And again, pairing him up with Macho, it's the perfect pairing to me. Of a guy who really isn't as technical with the perfect guy who's all about technical at the time. And it ended with Macho Man retaining, which basically kind of led into the feud with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So for that, if I were to rate this match, I would give it 3.5.
Well, if I remember correctly, again, it's a long time ago, Giordano Steele in the beginning had nothing to do with the Ricky Steamboat thing. But what happened was afterwards they put him in. Mm-hmm. When Randy Savage kills Ricky's throat and everything like that, George wasn't around. George was used later on. But George is an interesting character. He really is. By the way, guys, he had Crohn's disease. He died a few years ago. He had a tough life. But the thing is, believe it or not, George Animal Steele, if you look him up, his IQ is amazing. He's a genius. But people don't realize that.
I always like that. It's like the kid from Modern Family. I don't know if you ever watched Modern Family, Steele.
No.
It was like they had the one son who was not bright at all in the show. But in real life, the kid's like a member of Mensa. That's how smart people are. Like, you never know what people were really about. So if you had to rate this match, what would you rate it?
Again, WrestleMania 2, no match was great, but it was psychology. That one, because of a little psychology, 2.5.
Really? Again, I go 3.5 because of what it eventually led to. And I'm trying to...
You're also more positive. You're more... I'm a negative guy in things. You're more positive about things. I like psychology. And that's what made it 2.5, because the wrestling match sucked. But, again, wrestling was different then. You weren't getting guys doing all these crazy moves then. You know what I mean? You would have somebody, in my old days, Tony Greer, who I loved, would have somebody in the abdominal stretch for 10 minutes. They don't do that now. So, it's a different time.
It is. It definitely
is. In that era, they started changing it up. Plus, WWE, at that time I didn't have cable. So, but I always wanted to watch Ric Flair, Harley Race, and all that stuff. I really couldn't watch it. I sometimes got U47. I watched Florida wrestling. It was much better wrestling. This is more fun. And also, the way they would do like that. You guys can't see what I'm going to do, but in the old days, they would throw a punch, and they would put their foot up. Yep. It was so fake in WWF, because that's what I still call it. But so it was a different time and stuff like that.
I know some people still do it, and most people who do it are actually the members of the Anoa'i family, because I believe that's the way they're more
Samoans.
The Samoans.
Absolutely.
Like Jimmy Uso, Roman Reigns still does it. The Rock is famous for doing it.
Wait, Jake, what's your last name again?
Kobe.
It doesn't matter what your last name is. I just had to do it, guys.
Yeah, he just had to do the. Anyway, so the next match is Jake Roberts versus George Wells.
George Wells was this folk player. They were trying to make him a Rocky Johnson character, but he had no personality, he had no charisma. He could wrestle a little bit, but he wasn't Rocky. What do you say about the match? Half star.
I would have to agree. It's funny though. If this is actually,
would say.
I believe this is Jake the Snake Roberts' first WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So it's funny to look at that terrible match.
And I was never a Jake the Snake fan. Here's the thing: Jake the Snake's known as one of the greatest personalities. He is. But his wrestling skills, I never enjoyed him. I never liked him.
One of the greatest talkers, though. The guy, he knew how to deliver a promo, and it's Triple H had the best line of everybody else was yelling at you. He was talking
yes, he did.
Slow.
But you want to know something? I got to tell you, I hear it all the time. I never cared about him either way. He was never a guy I cared about. And then I heard he was supposed to feud with Hogan, but the problem was he became so popular that even have a feud with Hogan, they had a little thing happen. And then Vince got worried and decided that Hogan can wrestle him because he'd become the good guy. I give Jake a lot of credit, but I gotta tell you, not a Jake guy.
That reminds me of the Daniel Bryan Batista feud that they had going into WrestleMania 30.
Right, but Daniel Bryan I got. I tell you, Jake just.
I think it was just the mystique of he's carrying around a snake. It's something you gotta be like, wow, look at this.
I know, but yeah, his personality seems.
And don't forget, I think he was a second or third generation superstar.
Well, his father was a very big thing, and sisters, I don't want to get into his father. His father did sexual molesting and shit.
Yeah, his father was not a good person. But yeah, so it would be the WrestleMania debut of Jake the Snake, and then you would go to the main event, I believe, from Nassau, which was Roddy Piper and Mr. T in a boxing match.
All right, so here's the thing about that. I'm a boxing fanatic, ladies and gentlemen, so I hate watching stuff, even the Buddy Bean, even though that happened, but I knew Buddy Bean was going to knock him out. It was a real fight.
Oh, yeah.
So when you talk about this thing, Piper boxed a little bit, wasn't really boxing. Mr. T used to win, the
Golden
the
Gloves. I think he won Golden Gloves.
Not Golden Gloves. He used to win the bouncing matches, where they would do it was a whole thing. It was not a Golden Glove. They would beat them in a strong fight.
One of them won Golden Gloves, I thought.
No.
Oh, there?
No.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, that was just a whole garbage. And also, Mr. T didn't want to lose because he's a celebrity, and Piper didn't want to lose to a celebrity. So that thing was so silly, the way they did it.
And they really hated each other, though, didn't they? They really hated each other. Yeah, they really hated each other in real life.
Yeah, it was no point. There was no chemistry. There was no point in that. I understood WrestleMania 1 having Mr. T there because, he was something. It was great to have. But he didn't have to be there the second year. He didn't have to be. They had fucking William Perry, in the what do you call it? In the
Battle Royal.
They didn't need Mr. T after the first time, in my opinion.
We'll get to that one. We'll get to William Perry a little later. So, what would you give this match? It ended in disqualification when Piper actually picked up T and slammed him.
I would give it, like my friend Dan would say, I would give it a half a star.
All right. I agree with that. I agree with, again, a half a star.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Dan is in the house. One of the coolest guys around.
So, we finished Nassau.
Okay.
We're off to the Rosemont.
Okay.
Dear God.
Remind me of the matches.
Rosemont, the first match was the Fabulous Moolah defending her title against Velvet McIntyre.
And she wins, right? Yeah.
Moolah wins.
Yeah. Like a 3 minute, 20-second match.
1 minute. It is a 1 minute match.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
You want to bring it up?
We're on.
All right, so here's the thing about that match. It's a filler. Nothing to say. It's a filler. The whole Wendy Richter thing's over. They want to put a women match for people in wrestling. Nothing to say. Nothing more. Nothing less.
Yeah, it's women's wrestling in the 80s, unfortunately.
By the way, before we bring it up, a lot of people go crazy about Wendy Moolah, what she did to people. She stole the money from the people. She did from the girls. She did a lot of wrong things, but a lot of them wouldn't have had careers without her. So you got to look. So people look at both ways. Don't just judge what people are saying about her. She did a lot of good things for the women that nobody else did. She brought women wrestling in. So look at that too.
Yeah.
Is she a nasty woman? Maybe, but look at both sides.
That's what I say about Vince McMahon.
Yep.
Take it for the good. Go fuck yourself for the bad.
Right. What do you, facts of life? Take it to the good.
Yeah. Take some of the good, take some of the bad. You mix it all together. What you got the facts of life?
Yes. That's.
That was the first facts of life reference I've ever had on this show.
See, we did this together. See?
Yep. The next one, it's a flag match. Corporal Kirchner versus Nikolai Volkov.
All right, so that match is stupid. Sergeant Slaughter isn't around anymore. Sergeant Slaughter isn't around, and they need
the American Wrestling Association.
They need an American guy, Corporal Kirchner. By the way, Corporal Kirchner is still alive. Twice they said he died, but he's still alive. You can't kill the corporal. But anyway, that match is silly.
Here's to the corporal.
To the corporal. Okay. What do you guys think? I hope you guys enjoyed this. My first time doing it. I hope I'm making it fun for you. I'm talking that off the cuff. I haven't watched this in a while, but I figured
Is this actually your first podcast you've ever done?
this is the first podcast I've ever really done.
I thought they would have had you on like a bar rescue one.
No, I was on bar rescue. Oh yeah, I did a little, but it wasn't different. By the way, I was on bar rescue. If you guys want to watch the funniest episode ever, because I'm a funny character, season 4, episode 3, Smoke Dynasty. Check me out.
Yeah, you sleeping on a couch in the basement.
Yeah, it's all bullshit, whatever. But use the plug, but check it out.
So, it was a flag match. Corporal would actually defeat Nikolai Volkov, which is very funny. One's in the Hall of Fame. The other one is a name who you rarely bring up nowadays.
Yeah, but then again, Coco Beware is in the Hall of Fame, so what does that mean?
True. Here you go. So, if you had to rate that match, what would you rate it?
How do you say nothing or 0 or negative?
0 stars. You can go negative if you want.
All right.
I would have thought Moolah would have gone negative.
Well, it was a girl match. So I
Women's
felt like they
match, yeah.
deserved something.
I would have gone to women's match still.
So guys, here's what makes WrestleMania 2, in my opinion, genius. There's not a good match in the thing. There's no 3 stars in the match. But it's just you see them trying to figure out something. So give it credit for figuring out. WrestleMania 1 was the whole classic thing. WrestleMania 2, they said, let's do 3 different cards, different places. Nothing worked. But guys, there wouldn't be no WrestleMania 3 if WrestleMania 2 didn't show what was wrong. That was the blueprint.
100%.
No.
So next is the Battle Royal.
By the way,
WWE versus NFL Battle Royal.
Before you finish the story, Jake is wearing a Suplex City. He's a Brock Lesnar fan, I see, because he's wearing a Suplex City shirt on the thing. So, and Brock Lesnar came out 30 years later, so. What the hell are you wearing this? You should have been wearing, and I agree with everybody, everybody's going to say to you, you should have been wearing a King Kong Bundy shirt. What the hell are you wearing a Brock Lesnar shirt?
I got this for free. There used to be a WWE t-shirt subscription program on Amazon, and they would send me free shirts.
Okay, fair enough. I'll never wear the shirt again. Next.
Next is the Battle Royal.
Okay.
William Refrigerator Perry.
Battle Royal is very interesting because they have the football players and stuff like that. My feeling is the whole Mr. T thing, I understood WrestleMania 1. I understood why WrestleMania 1 they needed, Mr. T and all that stuff. And the Piper thing was so stupid. WrestleMania 2, they put all these celebrities in. What was the point? I thought Perry and Francis put a decent performance. I had a lot of fun. Who won? I forgot who won that much. Andre?
Andre won it by eliminating.
Yeah, it was Andre. So I'm going to tell you what. Not a great match. Battle Royals are never great besides the Royal Rumble was fun. But I had fun. I giggled. You always wanted to pick your nose and eat it 3 times because it was fun. I'm going to give it 2 stars.
You know who we last eliminated? Bret the Hitman Hart.
And Bret was in there, right?
Yeah, he was the last one left.
And nobody thought Bret was going to be anything special at that time, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody did, not even me.
Yep.
It wasn't really a Bret Hart. To me, I thought this guy, like I said before, I'm a Bob Backlund guy, but I thought this guy, Dynamite Kid, I know if he was in this era, he'd been the greatest wrestler of all time. That man is a genius. To this day. You like Scott Steiner? You like his suplexes? You like all the stuff he does? You got it from Dynamite Kid. You like Chris Benoit? All the moves he does? You got it Chris Benoit. From Dynamite Kid.
Daniel Bryan.
Dynamite Kid is probably the greatest wrestler of all times. He really is. And anybody who says he doesn't know wrestling. Anyway, next. I'm sorry I'm very, to all you people, I don't even know what I'm talking about, but to all you people, I don't mean to come off this way. I like to make it fun, but I'll tell you the way it is.
Exactly. That's why I'm glad to have you on. The next match is your main event for Rosemont, the Tag Team Championship match of the Bulldogs versus the Dream Team.
All right. So let's talk about that.
With Ozzy Osbourne in their corner. I forgot.
Yes. Well, let's forget Ozzy Osbourne and whatever.
Johnny Valiant.
All right, so you got Bruce Beefcake, who's never a good wrestler, something like that. But he had charisma, he had the look. If Bruce Beefcake didn't have that thing happen in the boat, I hate to say it, I never liked him, but he might have become a world champion. He had that charisma. They took with Greg Valentine. Greg Valentine is one of the best wrestlers. He wasn't the greatest on his feet, but his father is legendary. But he was a better wrestler than his father. The Hammer, he did movies. People don't realize. Do you know the greatest tag team of all times? And to all you people that want to go back watching things, 1978, the best feud ever. Greg Valentine was tag team partners with this guy. I don't know if you ever heard of him, Ric Flair. What a great team they were. And they had a great feud with Paul Jones and Ricky Steamboat. A phenomenal feud. That tag team is amazing. Greg Valentine should have been a world champion, one of the best. He knows what he's doing and stuff like that. And they talk about Davey Boy Smith, who was a good wrestler. And then, with steroids, became strong and stuff like that. But without Dynamite Kid, Davey Boy Smith, wouldn't have been anything. Dynamite Kid. I mean, actually, to be honest with you, WrestleMania 2, you just named, it's funny, the other matches might be better, but Dynamite Kid and Greg Valentine are probably the best two technical wrestlers in every way than anybody else there. And just for that, I'm going to give it the best. I'm going to give it the best darn thing out of anyone. I'm going to give it 3 stars for fun and 2 of the greatest.
So you think it's the best match on the card?
I don't remember everything when you threw out everything, but for now, yes.
All right. Next is, oh my God, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Hercules Hernandez.
Ricky Steamboat could make anybody look good, but somehow he couldn't make that match look good. What was it, double disqualification or something stupid like that?
No, Ricky went over clean. Ricky went over clean, I believe.
It's so good, that match, I don't remember it. How about I give it 0 stars? I love Ricky Steamboat, but I don't remember it.
All right. Oh my God. So, by the way, we're in Los Angeles now. We have finished Rosemont. We're in Los Angeles. Adrian Adonis versus Uncle Elmer.
Well, the funny thing is, and Adrian Adonis already gained weight at that point, right?
Yeah, he had
So
gained a
people
little
don't
weight.
realize Adrian Adonis usually played the New York guy. And not even from New York, and sadly how he died. But Adrian Adonis was one of those guys. He could be 100 pounds. He could be 500 pounds. He knew how to wrestle. He could make anybody look good. Now, look at that one match. Anybody else would have been disgusting. 1.5 stars.
All right. I agree with you on that one. 1.5 stars. Next, we got the Funks. Terry and Haas Funk versus Tio Santana and the Junkyard Dog.
And this pisses me off, this match. Because Dory Funk is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Terry Funk was always a good wrestler. Later on, became King of Stream.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, and they're both, Terry Funk sadly died, but at that time, I actually rated Dory Funk greater than Terry. But they're both great. But here's the thing: Tito Santana is the most underrated wrestler in the world. It's funny how when Vince decided, Vince Mancini, he always wanted ethnic guys. So he had, Tito came in later on. I get it, but Pedro Morales, Bruno Sammartino, but Tito should have been a world champion. Anyway, you just named 3 of the 4 guys. Then Junkie Joke's just there for fun and jokes, and he's popular.
And yeah, he also
But that match was terrible. And what sucks is you had so many good wrestlers in there. For me to give it 1.5 stars, that's all it deserves.
Yep. So we just a Junkyard Dog. We talked about that and everything. You didn't give me a match rating. If you had to rate the match of the Funks versus Tio Santana and Junkyard Dog.
So here's the thing. You have 3 guys out of 4 that are great wrestlers usually. They usually can wrestle. They can wrestle a bull rope and get 3 stars.
And JYD was a personality. He was
Right,
a great
personality and stuff like that. But in this match, it seemed like every one of them. I think Funk left. Did Terry leave like 2 months later?
I believe so. Yeah.
I feel like they all phoned it. They phoned it in. 2 stars. Again, WrestleMania 2, not a great match in there. Not one good match in there.
Except
But
for the
again-
tag team.
But again, it was a different time. It wasn't about everybody doing crazy moves. It was about psychology. But even psychology, it wasn't. WrestleMania 2 was Vince McMahon hoping, can I get to WrestleMania 3?
Yep.
That's what it was.
And then finally, final match of the night:
Okay?
Hogan versus Bundy.
All right, so big thing about this. My thing is, never the Hogan guy. I have a big problem with Hogan because, ladies and gentlemen, he was a, a bad guy. He wrestled Bob Backlund. I'm a big Bob Backlund fan. And I felt like Bob Backlund never got a title shot after the whole thing happened. Iron Sheik and the Samoan thing. And I understand it was the Hulk Hogan era. I never liked Hulk Hogan after that. I never liked him. To this day, I hate Hulk Hogan. I'm Bob Backlund. But when Bob Backlund turned, later on, people love that character. I still like the regular Bob Backlund. Greatest wrestler in the world. Because I feel like I love wrestling in that when you're the champion. I never was a big Ric Flair fan either. I liked wrestling where I felt the guy could beat you up. That's why I love Bruno. That's why I like Bob Backlund. Hulk Hogan was just a bodybuilder. So Bob Backlund to me was the greatest thing. So I never got into him. But he wrestled King Kong Monday. King Kong Monday, there was no, like, in WrestleMania 3, I remember saying to people, they asked me what I thought. I said, you know what my theory was, Jake? In WrestleMania 3, that Andre was going to win the match. Even though Andre lost to people before. He lost to Ollie Reed, got Body Slam. He lost to a few people. Believe that, Chico El Nan Casey beat him in Iraq. So he lost matches. But I thought that Andre was going to win that match and then, as a friend, give Hogan back the belt. The Bundy match, I never believed Bundy could win. I never believed Bundy was a main event guy for WrestleMania 2. It was okay. 1.5 stars. So you're going to ask me what I thought of the night. It's a 2-star night.
And if you had to give it a grade A to F.
So here's what I want to say. I want to go this way. So it was a 2-star night, but that WrestleMania 2 did some interesting things. Did 3 different cards. Got people excited. So is it a A? No. Is it an F? No. Now here's the thing. Do I look at it? Wrestling sucked. So you could say it should be a D-. But because of what it led to, I think WrestleMania 2 even helped WrestleMania 3 more than WrestleMania 1 did, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give it a C-.
I can agree with that. I get that.
You know.
And now, because it's the segment I do every week, for one, former bartender.
Yes.
What was your favorite drink to make at the bar? And that'll be the drink of the week.
I mean, there's all the time with different drinks I would do, you know. But I'm going to be honest. Today, we can go something basic, ladies and gentlemen. Something fun, because WrestleMania 2 was nothing good, but it was fun. So we're just going to go nothing good but nothing fun. I want everybody to go in the house, and let's all do old-time things from the early 1990s. Let's do a Jaeger bomb. Jaeger Red Bull. You put some Jaeger and put Red Bull and just shoot it down. That's what we'll do today. Next time I'll do the martini thing. But today, we're basic, because WrestleMania 2 is basic, and the drink's basic. Let's do it that way.
And that's the drink of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Please, as always, do not drink and drive if you're please do not drink and drive. Do not drink if you're under 21 in the United States, and do not overconsume on alcohol.
And Stu 2, do a Jaeger bomb with me, and come to Jersey Smokes Cigar Store. Check it out.
And also, before you go, Battle Droid of the Week. Worst wrestler from WrestleMania 2, who you have to give it to?
Worst wrestler? Uncle Elmo.
All right. And because of that, you are the Battle Droid of the Week. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Stu, thanks for being on the podcast, brother. Love you. And next week, I am going to actually do something special, because it's coming into WrestleMania season. I'm going to cover all of Cody Rhodes' matches coming back to WWE since he's been back in the pay-per-views, and I will give you my WrestleMania predictions.
Can I say one thing about him?
Just give me 1 second. Go ahead. You were muted. Go ahead.
So here's the interesting thing about Cody Rhodes. Before we go into the thing, Cody Rhodes came out years ago with
AEW.
No, WWE, when he was with their crew. DiBiase.
Legacy.
The Legacy. He was supposed to be the worst one. I didn't understand. I thought he was never going to be anything. And who would think that he might be 1 or 2 and DiBiase is 3? Because DiBiase looked like he had it all.
He did.
We'll talk about that another time. I want to talk about that next time with you.
All right.
But guys, thank you very much. Thank you, my man Choose. I hope you had fun with me. I hope you got a little different craziness from me. So be cool and don't let all the girls drool.
And so next week, covering all of Cody Rhodes' pay-per-view matches since he's been back, and I will give you my WrestleMania predictions before we go to Philly. Have a great week in wrestling, ladies and gentlemen.